Welcome, everyone. Uh, I would like to introduce Xavier and,
Daniel, Daniel
and
Piroz.
Danielle. Yes. Um, so, Xavier, I'm going to introduce you, and you can help me with Danielle because I don't know him so well. But Xavier is an experimental musician from Venezuela. He's also a chemical engineer, and he is also a craft beer entrepreneur who currently lives in Madrid. And he is going to be speaking today on uncertainty as part of the creative process. Um, so, Xavier, please go ahead and you can introduce
Yes, hello.
Danielle and
Thank
tell
you,
us a little
Zach.
bit about yourself.
It's really nice being here today. And yeah, when we were like speaking about what to talk a little bit and like what can we offer from our experience to other artists, I was like, for me, like being from a country like Venezuela and then emigrating with my family and then COVID coming for me was like, okay, there are like a lot of similar situations. Like you live in one of in each of these moments in your life, and for a lot of people, like COVID was like super fresh, like not in a good way, and for us Venezuelans and immigrants was like, okay, we've been through this somehow before. And I realized that one of the main drivers, like main forces that helps you through all of that is creativity, is art. And it's been with me since like start writing music in 1996. I'm old enough to that. And yeah, it's been my partner in the like in the business, in my life in Venezuela, and I was thinking like that's a really nice topic to touch. Like how can we go through it with creativity and with art? Yeah, take it by the hand.
Awesome. I know Scott has just mentioned in the chat that the sound is a little quiet. Is there a way to get closer to the microphone for you or
Yeah,
to
for
speak a little
yeah,
louder?
it's better this way.
Wonderful. Yes. So I wanted to ask when you were talking about uncertainty, and we've had some conversations about this. You mentioned that having doubt in art during the creative process, not necessarily knowing where we're going, is normal. But when we
Totally.
think about doubt in life, it somehow isn't as acceptable. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, totally. It's like we sort of have this need of knowing what's next, right? And when something like COVID appears, everything seems darker. But when we start making music, when we start making it like a new project, it's like that uncertainty is part of the process, and we learn to enjoy that, and that's like the thing is how can we learn to enjoy like these difficult processes as we do in art. When you start this song, you don't know how it's gonna end, and that doesn't cause you anxiety. That you know that's part of the process and you enjoy it, and that's what I try to apply in my day-to-day life. You know, like a little bit of creativity, a note a day, even when you don't know the output of that day.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. I,
Yeah, because at the end,
I
if you
receive.
know, like if you know, like knowing the outputs all the time, it's like we have art because we know we can like go through something we don't know, like start with the unknown at hand. And I think art is a driving force of humanity for sure.
Mhm. And in terms of just to give a little perspective, can you talk personally about some of the uncertainty or some of the largest uncertainties that you've experienced in your life?
well, I think like Venezuela is a good example. Like you don't have when we were living in Venezuela, like safety was an issue, economy was an issue, and like if you don't look ways to do things differently, like you cannot advance at all. And yeah, like even in my job back in Venezuela, we were like designing new recipes all the time. I work in a brewery for 11 years in Venezuela, and we were designing new recipes all the time to deliver to see how can we obtain same result with less and less raw materials, with less tools. And it was the same with COVID here in the business. Like everything was like park, stop suddenly. So if you park also, you don't advance at the end. And I think yeah, in Venezuela that was like a way to work, and that's what you see in Venezuelans. Like sometimes you have like the most happy countries, like when they do this surveys, and you see like how Venezuela is in top 10 of like the most happy people in the world. And I think it's that way of readjusting, of try to deliver what the government or your environment is not giving you. So when you start being creative to confront that, you start enjoying life in a different way. I'm not saying that's right, like having a country like that is, but it's really yeah, it's really interesting how we can be happier sometimes and in like a more difficult situations if we go through art or creativity, I think.
Amazing. And I want to talk more about your music.
Yeah.
Would you like to play first and then discuss, or?
Well, yeah, yeah. We prepare a song from the next the upcoming album. It's called Estrella Negra, and it's basically inspiring all those people that through creativity like advance in a journey. And with me is Daniel Pirone. He's a great friend. He's also Venezuelan immigrant, and he knows a lot about uncertainty and creativity. So yeah, let's do it.
Bravo. Wow. Thank you
El,
so much.
eso es el. Bueno, creo que. La, you listened to that song a couple of weeks ago, like we just released that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it mixed a little bit of what I've been doing, like with the piano, with the guitar, and singing, which is a new thing for me.
Hmm.
And it's been part of that, like yeah, breaking that uncertainty. Like all my music's been instrumental for like almost 20 years, and yeah, I start singing in this album, which is
Hmm.
kind of weird for me. I don't feel comfortable yet with that, but I think I sort of wanted it and needed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think in many ways, the last year and a half of the pandemic has forced us to accept uncertainty in our lives.
For sure.
And and I think we see that, even in myself, running a business for over 15 years and then deciding to perhaps even go into a new career, right? Um,
Yeah.
People moving, changing homes. Um, can you talk a little bit about the process, even the name of the song, Black Star,
Yeah.
that returns to shine or that shines again?
Yeah. Yeah, and the energy, it's supposed, right? It's like it has in itself. It's a mix of things because it's on one hand, I wanted to, I did it in Spanish for a number of reasons, but also one of the reasons is I didn't want to make it so obvious that David Bowie could be there as an inspiration of creativity. And it's sort of a tribute to yeah, to art. And it's not a coincidence that has its name Black Star. And it's yeah, it's this call to people to go ahead. Like we want to see you shining again. We want to see you like going ahead and taking good care of your life and rising your sight and your hope. And yeah, it's totally an outcome from the pandemic. Yeah.
So I want just to let, if anybody's listening, if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself or to ask in the chat. Um, and I wanted to ask you about this idea of reimagining the world that we live in after a system has failed us, right? Which seems to be happening more and more often, whether it's the financial crisis, the healthcare with the pandemic, an entire societal collapse in Venezuela, and the role that art plays in reimagining that world.
Yeah, like as I said before, it's I've been I'm totally sure like art's been like a driver of humanity, of humankind, and it's not gonna be different like this time, you know. Sorry. Um, and yeah, like trying to imagine different scenarios, like we don't know which one it's gonna be like the real one, but we make a path from that. Like right now, with we were speaking about tokenization and all the thing like virtual meetings, virtual stuff. For me, it's really important. For everybody, it's really important. Like the social connection. It's part of the same of humankind. And we realize with the bars, because with the craft beer business, I own two bars, and you at like you've been seeing how people needs to go out, needs to see each other, have a beer, speak, and it's those gatherings like always like it's with art involved. It's making what's next. I know like all the virtual like world, it's changing, and we're gonna be part of that for sure. But I think like it's you need to have a food on the street, and that's where a lot of really interesting things happening, in that mix of what's tangible and what's digital, and I have sort of that world quite well mixed with the bars and yeah, like everything I write and it's delivered through the internet, right? It's your right now the feedback is coming right through your computer or your mobile phone.
Yeah, it's, if I think about even like entire music genres and where they were born from, whether it's jazz or ragtime or blues
Yeah,
or, even tango, right? Um, it's so much of that music is born from uncertainty around entire communities.
for sure, for sure. And where's yeah, like when you struggle, and yeah, it's quite a cliche, but when I feel like low or sad, it's probably when the like the best music I've been doing, and yeah, cause it's a way to like to deliver those emotions instead of like keeping them inside. I try to like throw them out. Like I remember releasing my first album. That was 2007. A friend of my dad told my dad, like called my dad really worried, like, hey, Xavier is going through a depression. And my dad was like, why? No, I just listened to his records. And for me, it was like, no, I'm not depressed at all. But yeah, I use art like to sort of go, go ahead, advance, clean myself, and be happy, man. Like, yeah,
Mhm. I want to go back to the song that you two just played, and I know that it must have evolved and had lots of different iterations. Is
again,
it? I wanted to go back to the song Black
yeah,
Estrella Negra, and I'm guessing that it changed as you were writing it, as you were
yeah,
performing it.
yeah,
Could you take a small piece, maybe even just one instrument,
yeah.
and kind of show me maybe how it started, maybe somewhere in the middle, how it developed, and then what it ended up being, and talk about that process of change?
Yeah, like it actually started, and usually the okay. Usually they start with a simple idea, and this was like try to have an open guitar, like with the strings, the open guitar, and like a flowing rhythm. And yeah, I don't know if we are able to put the like the one on Spotify, or if you know how to do that. But at the end, I add, if you listen to the original piece, I add like these Venezuelan drums on it, and then a drummer came and helped it through. So, um, when you listen to like the recording, it's quite more complex because you have like a interlude trying to express the whole artistry around the song. But yeah, it started with the guitar, right? Then the last thing I'm doing, because I'm not a singer, it's I write a poem. I try not to like write chorus, verse, like I try to write something that I feel proud as a poem, and then I'm not thinking about the song in that moment. And then with the poem like in hand, it's like see how it fits. in what I already have, like the melody I have. Also, if you listen to the song in like the voice, it's not in a click, because it's not standard like way of writing it, as I just say. So it was like building and building. It was layer after layer after layer, and yeah, this is a song that I didn't know where it was headed. And yeah, I don't know if you're able to play it a little bit from the original recording. Yeah, tell me.
It, yeah, I was going to say it reminds me. There's an incredible documentary on Picasso where they put up almost like a curtain, a very thin sheet, and the camera is on one side and he paints on the other. And so you just see these start to appear. And at a certain point, he changes and he starts doing an oil painting. And you see his entire process where he paints maybe a horse and then he takes it off and he puts up three people and he changes it again and again. And at a certain point, the painting is absolutely stunning. And he keeps going and he keeps going. And at a certain point, he realizes that he's gone too far.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
he's,
Yeah,
and yeah, can you talk about that part?
yeah, like in that, yeah, you learn to finish stuff not because they're perfect, but because you need to go ahead to another issue, if you want to call it like that. And because we have a phrase in Spanish, I don't know if you have exactly the same way in English, we say like perfection is enemy of good things. Because you're never gonna achieve perfection, like, or you're never gonna think like you have the perfect final result. And for sure, you're gonna change a lot of things. Like if you listen to a song 2 years, or you take a look at a paint 2 years, and after like producing it, probably you gonna think like I need to change a lot of stuff here. And as the same like having here Danielle with me, it's I never try to emulate what I already record. It's more like you have your way of playing, you have your talent. Let's put that on the song instead of trying to replicate what I recorded. And yeah, like I think you learn to stop the process instead of learning to finish a perfect song. And yeah, for sure, it has to be like with the same again. You are another, you're thinking on another stuff. Like you're way ahead of that song, so you start with the other song and okay, let's keep this that way. Of course, if you have like a concept in mind, like around all like different songs, you put that into that concept in terms of instruments you already record, like yeah, like what are the colors you already have.
Yeah. Um, I want to thank you both so much. And I just wanted to ask, uh, Sayed, I know you also do music for theater and lots of different films. Where can people hear some of your music?
Well, they can, yeah, you can take me online, Xavier Losada. I think my name is on the Zoom square. And yeah, like Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, like yeah, every platform, YouTube. You can yeah find me there. And I'm in Instagram also if you want to write me or ask me whatever stuff or connect. And yeah, well, welcome yeah to my little community.
Awesome. I want to thank you both so much.